Welcome back to your nightmares, my children. This is Mr. Midnight speaking. I welcome you all to my humble abode. Today, we'll be looking at some scary McDonald's stories that will keep you away from McDonald's for the rest of your life. But before we get into this, make sure you like and subscribe, because if you do not, I will serve you a McDeath. Now buckle up. And always remember, the darkness always follows. I will now leave you with my narrator, so enjoy.
McDonald's Play Place. This is a 100% true story. I shiz you not. When I was younger, I would always pester my mother and father to take me to the McDonald's across town. It wasn't too expensive, and half the time I didn't really even order food. I went there for one sole reason, and that was the play place. I loved the play place. It made me feel like I was truly free to adventure on in my own little world. Now, every time I got in there was almost always, some other kids in there, be it a boy or a girl. I'd always say hi and ask them if they wanted to play hide and go seek. Usually they said yes because we were always eager to play with anyone. But one day, it seemed like there was a really big kid in the queue across from me. I mean, really big. I was going to go ask this big kid to come play with me, but he turned around and looked at me. He started slowly crawling towards me, very slowly like a snail. I was a bit scared. I tried to get out of the queue, but every time I went faster, he went faster. I was horrified. Then I heard sirens. My mother always told me that if I ever heard sirens that I should come to her. I sped up as fast as I can, and the man just stood there. I ran to my mother, who had a worried look on her face. In just a flash, I see a policeman burst through the McDonald's door and run to the playground. They took the big kid and put him in handcuffs, then drove him away the whole time. This kid was smiling at me. Just smiling. To this day, I occasionally see his smile every time I walk by McDonald's. McDonald's is going to fire me. I can't do this anymore. A minimum wage job isn't worth the nightmares I've been having. Rick, the manager of McDonald's I work at, told me tomorrow is my last chance to stop slacking off and clean the girls' restroom. But I'm not going to. I can't. Not after what I saw in there. The past 5 days I've been having one of my co-worker friends, Katie, clean the restroom for me. And just yesterday Rick caught on and has been giving me warnings. But I can't tell him the truth about what I saw in the mirror. Katie doesn't even know the whole story. If I told them, they'd probably call the men in white coats. Or even worse, my parents. I don't want people to think I'm crazy. No sleep. This is the only place I feel comfortable talking about what I saw. Maybe you can give me some advice about what to do. It started a week ago. I was on the evening shift. I had already cleaned the boys' restroom, and I knew there was a mess in the girls. So I grabbed them up and bucket out of the supply closet and went in. There was some sort of spillage on the grey tiles under the far stall, so I wheeled my mop bucket over and started cleaning. Nothing out of the ordinary. It took me a while to notice what was up with the mirror. It was a wide, too-thick mirror, and someone had covered it with words that looked like they were written in lipstick. When I got closer, I realized that the words were a bunch of slogans from McDonald's. You deserve a break today. We love to see you smile. I'm loving it. And a bunch more I had never heard before. It took me a second to notice I was wrong. The words weren't written on the mirror. The mirror was reflecting them. Reflecting a restroom that had McDonald's slogans written in huge red letters on the walls. What the F? I looked from the empty pale white and grey walls of the restroom and back at the mirror which showed the same walls covered in hand-painted slogans. Look for the golden arches. Nobody makes your day like McDonald's. Have you had your break today? Confused and terrified, I dashed into the hallway. Didn't go back for the mop and bucket, just got out of there as quick as I could. I didn't tell anyone what I saw. In fact, I barely spoke at all the rest of the night, except when someone asked why there was a mop in the restroom. I said it must have been left from the morning shift. That was only the first of my shifts that week. I worked full time. Thankfully, the next day someone else was on cleaning duty. Just to be safe, I made sure not to drink too many fluids, so I wouldn't have to go to the bathroom while I was there. I had a nightmare that night. I was in the restroom again, looking at the mirror, except I couldn't understand the words anymore. They weren't written in English. It was some sort of weird letters I had never seen before. I had a baseball bat in my hand, so I smashed the mirror over and over. As the glass fell in a rain of shards, I realized that the mirror was actually a window. Then I heard whispering and what sounded like screaming children. Then I woke up. The next day I was on cleaning duty again. Somehow I let myself be in denial. Now what I had seen last time was real. Maybe it was just a desperate desire to not be crazy, but I went into the girls' restroom again. I tried to look away and just clean the whole restroom without seeing the mirror, but I saw the words were there out of the corners of my eyes as I was cleaning. Somehow I willed myself to ignore it. While I finished, I stepped up to the mirror again, pulled out my cell phone and turned the camera on. As I was trying to get an angle to show as much of the ketchup graffiti as I possibly could, I noticed there were two large red shoes under one of the stalls. I screamed, snapped the picture and ran. I refused to go back in. I don't care if I get fired for it. When I checked my phone later, I couldn't find the picture, but my ringtone was changed to this.
You deserve a break today. We're close by, right on your way at McDonald's.
The local McDonald's doesn't have Big Macs on the menu. Now I know why. For background, I've been working at my local McDonald's for a few months now, as my first job. So a few weeks ago we were told by our manager to take Big Macs off the menu and to tell customers they couldn't order it for a while. This confused us because we had just gotten our new stock of food and we had everything we needed to make them, but we listened to what we were told. A few of the co-workers and I didn't like the drop in sales and angry folk that would come in and harass us for something out of our control. So I and two others, let's call them Jim and Mike for privacy's sake, decide to find out what's going on as our paychecks are being hurt severely by the lowering of sales. We spoke to our manager and they told us they didn't know any more than we did, and they were told to be like this by the higher ups. That was not good enough, so we contacted our owner and they said not to worry about it, and there was just a problem with the food we got and it would be fixed in a few weeks. A few weeks go by and nothing has changed. We call again and get a similar response. The food is bad, just wait a bit. We decide instead of waiting for things to be fixed, we will look into it ourselves. We looked into it and found our suppliers for our products and decided to investigate them a bit. Everything was as fine as we could tell until we got to our meat. We looked at the supplier and unlike the others, we tried to find where they were based. We couldn't find anything. We tried looking them up, but no results were related to them. So we decided we would wait until the next shipment came in and we'd follow the truck to see where it came from. The shipment comes in and we are off that day, so we can follow it. We follow the truck back to a building out in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by barbed wiring and a gate. With nothing better to do, we decide to sneak in. When we get close to it, we got hit with a foul odor coming from the inside, almost like something had been dead there for too long. While covering our noses, we went in. Immediately after entering, it was obvious where the smell was coming from. On the ground, there was what appeared to be several rotting animal carcasses scattered around the room. By that point, we were ready to leave when a ghoul falls on Jim. We look up, and above us is a large dripping creature with pitch black eyes and long claws in place of fingers. Not knowing what to do, we started to run and we thought we would get away when it catches up to us and sinks its claws into Jim, lifting him off his feet and throwing him back into the building. By that point, we had made it to Mike's car and I started getting away. We sped away from there as soon as we could, but on the way out, we came across more of those things which started chasing us. We thought they would catch us as they were gaining, but we got out of there before they could catch us. Later, we reported this to the police on the pretense our friend was lost and possibly injured in that general area, and we let them look into it. When they got there, it was empty. There were no carcasses and no creatures. Our boss gave us some time off after the incident, and when I came in to start work again, they were serving a full menu again. It turns out the day after that happened, they got an unexpected shipment of supplies that were used to make new Big Macs again. It's been a month since then, and we ran out again, and I don't know if I want them to get their next shipment. I think I'm going to quit, but no matter what, I don't think I'll be eating at McDonald's again. Why I stopped working at McDonald's. I can't believe it. A full 13 years of my life in a school system that has caused me nothing but stress and anxiety. 4 years of my life wasting my resources and money at community college. And all it's landed me is a shiz job at McDonald's. You know there's something wrong with American education when you dedicate your entire youth to a system that you were forced into, and all it gets you is a minimum wage job at some fast food place. While I may be venting about my personal life, I am not writing this as a means of coping with my suppressed anger. There is something that has been slowly ruining my life to the point where I am even scared to leave my own house. To start, I've been working at this job for about 6 months now. I am a male in my mid-20s and I've had a long history of meeting weirdos and creeps. But this one certainly takes the cake. Ever since I started working here, there was this guy. We'll call him Joe. Fake name. He was a middle-aged man that had glasses and comb over with blindingly white skin. I would rarely see him talking. In fact, I don't think I had ever seen him converse with any of the work staff on a conversational level when I started working there. Now I know what you're thinking. Maybe this guy is an introvert. Or maybe he has some social disorders and he just prefers to stay quiet. But let me tell you, actions speak louder than words, my friends. And what this guy has done to me, to my colleagues, will haunt us for the rest of our lives. The only time I saw him express some real emotion was when he left his phone on the counter. I picked it up just to see what sort of background this guy had. Seeing as he was so strange, he immediately came back and snatched it out of my hands. "Do not ever touch my phone," he screamed at me. That was the very first time I had ever heard him yell in all the time I had been working there. One day Joe came into work with an entirely different persona. He had been proposing we start doing all these new things with the McDonald's. All of them were either disturbing, creepy, or just flat out disgusting. One of his proposals was that he start dressing up like Ronald McDonald and having tickle fights with the kids. I don't know if I stated this already, but this guy is in his freaking 40s and is acting like it's completely normal. I passed it off as I thought he was just trying to make me laugh with some sort of awkward humor that only someone like him could muster. One of my other co-workers, Maya, had told me that he said that he thought it would be funny if we started hiding in people's cars and surprising them with free Happy Meals. Said that it would bring people back to McDonald's more often. In the coming weeks, he would start asking us about more personal questions like what we think the age of consent should be and what we think happens after we die. He told us that he believed that there are slaves in the afterlife and that people like Hitler will have the most slaves because he killed the most people. This guy was just getting creepier by the day. Last week we had found a hidden camera in the woman's restroom ventilation. We checked to see who put it in there, but we couldn't make out a face. And it definitely had to be one of the staff members because all we could see was a uniform. My manager immediately started accusing people of it. Mainly the guys, which was me, these two other guys, and Joe. Joe remained silent like he always did and just awkwardly looked around the place while talking. So my manager assumed it couldn't have been him. Finally, one day, Joe had said he was going outside to smoke and he had left his phone in the back of the McDonald's. Maya and I had been trying to guess the password and miraculously we opened it by being 4321. This guy was not very clever. As we scrolled through his camera roll, we had discovered a couple of pictures of kids on his phone. Maya had told me that she didn't know Joe had kids, but as we continued scrolled through his camera roll, we saw that there were provocative pictures of kids from all ages taken inside the McDonald's. We immediately showed our manager and we waited for him to come back inside. When he came back, my manager told him a new one and said that she would be contacting the police. He immediately glared at Maya and I and he muttered softly, "You went through my phone?" After that, he started walking towards us and we immediately got the F out of there and waited for the police. They arrested him and we haven't seen him since. Now this is where it gets bloody strange. A month had gone by and Maya and I had been getting close. We started going out and in some strange way the incident had made us bond more and had led us to start seeing each other. Life seems to work in very odd ways. One night we went out and we went to the movies for a date. It wasn't until midway through the movie that someone with a comb-over haircut and glasses got up from his seat and exited the theatre. Maya had looked at me and asked if I had seen that guy. I nodded my head, and we both just spent the rest of the movie wondering if it had been Joe. As we were going back to my car, I looked inside my window to find that there was a Happy Meal just lying in my car seat. Now, the last thing I would ever bring on a date is a Happy Meal, and it had not been there before. But what freaked me out was whoever put it there must have gotten it no more than a half an hour prior because it was too hot for it to have been sitting there for a substantial amount of time. We looked through it, and it was a standard Happy Meal, and nothing was out of the ordinary. I realized that if that was indeed Joe we saw in the theater, that would mean he must have been watching us and even knew which car was mine, and I had put it in there. I immediately threw it out, and we left to go back home. It was Sunday afternoon when Maya texted me a very odd message that broke my heart. I'm sorry to tell you this, but we need to break up. I have been seeing another guy, and unfortunately we can't see each other anymore. Don't take this the wrong way. You're a very likable guy. I am asking you, please don't hate me with this. I hope in the end we can still be friends. I completely lost my shiz. What the F? What did I even do for this to happen to me? I called her and she didn't pick up. I Snapchatted her and she never opened it. I called her damn house phone and she didn't respond. This had to be a joke or a prank or something. Then I realized that every letter in that text that was capitalized spelled something. H, have, E, each, L, likable, P, please, M, me, E, end. Help me. I immediately took my car and drove over to her house as fast as I could. I rang her doorbell multiple times and no one answered. Her car was gone, and I went through her back door and no one was in the house. I called the police and there was a full investigation. She was gone. I couldn't believe it. I had told the police of everything that had happened and they are still looking for her. I have been crying every night since then. This was all my fault. Joe had taken her, all because I thought it would have been funny to go through his phone. The only good thing to happen to me in the last 10 years of my life was gone. It's been a month and I still haven't recovered. Maya has still not been found and I have become a raging alcoholic because of it. It wasn't until yesterday morning that I was taking the order through the drive-through speakers that someone on the other end just didn't talk. Hello, I had asked. Then the person on the other end started screaming. It wasn't until I kept listening that I realized it was Maya's voice. She was crying in agony. Please don't kill me, please. Then the screaming got more intense. I nearly vomited. Finally the screaming stopped and I realized it had to have been a video that the person was putting against the microphone. The final words the man spoke into the mic was, I told you not to go through my phone.
Well, my children, I thank you all for watching. I hope these stories put you off your McDonald's, McFlurries, or whatever you're eating. I know this terrified you and scared you because I love tasting your fear and your sorrows. I'll see you again very soon, so until then, love the darkness as it always follows.